hope President Trump's commitment to criminal justice reform. On February 20th of this year, he was the guest speaker at the Hope for Prisoners graduation. He stayed much longer than scheduled to hand out diplomas to the 29 men and women who graduated that day. What a sight. The most important man in the free world shaking hands and pledging his administration's support to ex-offenders. Their families were there, the community was there. What a great second chance. I also appreciate President Trump's support for law enforcement. I always felt like I had strong support as an FBI agent, but there's nothing worse than knowing you're being second-guessed when you're doing your job. In certain parts of our country right now, law enforcement doesn't feel like they have the support from their local leaders. They're being painted with a broad brush, unfairly, with calls for defunding. But
ACAB, motherfuckers.
The overwhelming percentage of law enforcement officers are good, smart people who are doing their jobs very well. And they can change the world working with people like John.
Wrong.
So now I'd like to invite John's wife, Jamie, to join us as I grant John, I'm not sure you know this, a full pardon. So I don't know if you know that, Jamie. Come on over here. It's just an honor. And you have done incredible work.
Thank you, sir.
And all of Las Vegas and all of Nevada and all of every place in this country is very proud of you, the job you've done, bringing people back. And you're right, I was supposed to be there for 5 minutes. I stayed for an hour and a half because it was so interesting to me. Congratulations to both.
Thank you, sir.
Richard, thank you very much for the job you do.
Thank you.
It's fantastic.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. I think I'll give it to Jamie. What do you think?
Good evening. I'm Senator Rand Paul from Kentucky. Donald Trump and I met many years ago, before he was running for anything. When I first met him, I recall being struck by how down-to-earth he was. He seemed like just a normal guy. Okay, a normal guy with his own plane and helicopter, but who's counting? I was planning a medical mission trip to Guatemala to perform charity eye surgeries, and we needed money to fund the trip. Donald Trump offered to help and immediately came through for us. Not only did he support my medical mission to Guatemala, but he also contributed to another mission trip to Haiti a year later. We performed hundreds of cataract surgeries in both countries. Nothing is more amazing than removing the bandages from a person's eyes and watching them as they see their loved ones again. Donald Trump helped me make that happen. A few years later, we were opponents, both running for president, and we all know how that turned out. But I'm proud of the job Donald Trump has done as president. I don't always agree with him, but our occasional policy differences are far outweighed by our significant agreements. But more important than simple agreement is accomplishment. President Trump gets things done. When some in Congress wanted a so-called revenue-neutral tax plan, Donald Trump and I worked together to make sure that it was a true tax cut. I brought President Trump an idea for better, less expensive health insurance called Association Health Plans. Donald Trump overturned years of red tape and bureaucrats, and he made it happen. While others talked about criminal justice reform, President Trump actually signed the First Step Act, the first real reform in a generation, and one that sought to undo the harm that others, like Joe Biden, have done. For those of us who lament the Biden crime bill that locked up a generation of young black men, remember that Biden bragged about a bill that still wreaks havoc among people of color. I'm supporting President Trump because he believes, as I do, that a strong America cannot fight endless wars. We must not continue to leave our blood and treasure in Middle East quagmires. I flew with him to Dover Air Force Base to honor 2 soldiers whose remains were coming home from Afghanistan. I'll never forget that evening. I can tell you the president not only felt the pain of these families, but that the president is committed to ending this war. President Trump is the first president in a generation to seek to end war rather than start one. He intends to end the war in Afghanistan. He is bringing our men and women home. Madison once wrote, "No nation can preserve its freedom in the midst of continuous warfare." I'm proud to finally see a president who agrees with that. Compare President Trump with the disastrous record of Joe Biden, who has consistently called for more war. Joe Biden voted for the Iraq War, which President Trump has long called the worst geopolitical mistake of our generation. I fear Biden will choose war again. He supported the war in Serbia, Syria, Libya. Joe Biden will continue to spill our blood and treasure. President Trump will bring our heroes home. If you hate war like I hate war, if you want us to quit sending $50 billion every year to Afghanistan to build their roads and bridges instead of building them here at home, you need to support President Trump for another term. So to our soldiers and their families, join me in supporting President Trump. To those of you who want lower taxes and better, less expensive health care, join me in supporting President Trump. To those of you who want to stand up and fight the socialists poisoning our schools and burning our cities, join me in supporting President Trump. Let's rebuild America together.
What I would call your everyday man, the forgotten man or woman, the people that wake up every morning, go to work, do their job, come home to their kids and families, and are faithful and consistent, the people that have built America.
There are people in our country
Welcome
that have been forgotten, that are
to the
hard
Troll
workers.
Patrol.
We do not
Oh,
hold signs. We are on the street
welcome
corners. We
to
are
the Troll
waking up
Patrol.
at the crack of dawn, working, our
Live.
living.
Night 2 of the
Every single day, men and
RNC.
women from across this country are affecting people in positive ways.
What a night we had last night.
Real people that work hard every day, and they just
I haven't
want
even
to
looked
earn
at the
a
list
good
of guests
living
for tonight. It's all
and
going to be a
enjoy
surprise.
life.
We're gonna find out
He
together.
really knows them, understands them. It's clear he has been on the job site, interacting with people from all backgrounds.
I've never had someone care so much about making sure people have some job security.
The president's job is to protect us, keep us safe, and help make our life better and the opportunity to pursue the American dream. That's what Donald Trump is doing.
And I do have it set up. I
As
might
a
go over and
cattle
hang out on
rancher
the
and a
couch.
farmer, I do feel that we are not forgotten with this administration. We
got a
have
microphone
hope for
over there.
preserving our industry.
I got the popcorn
My
ready.
hope is that we lift the regulations that have stripped away the working class Americans' ability to do what they innately know how to do best.
I feel like Trump is definitely pushing more for the steel mills, the fishermen, just us making our own products and bringing everything
Steel
in.
mills
He's
and
pushing so
fishermen.
hard, and I see it truly coming alive.
I do feel that President Trump has the interests of all those Americans tied together. I really do.
Good evening. My name is Jason Joyce, and I'm an 8th generation lobster fisherman from Swan Island, Maine. I make my living from lobster fishing, oyster farming, and providing eco tours in the beautiful waters near Acadia National Park, where I have over 200 years of family history. I have to confess, I didn't support Trump in 2016. Skeptical that
And
he
you do
shared my
now?
conservative views, I expected him to flip-flop on his campaign promises. But he has followed through on his promises, including last week when he brokered a deal to end European Union tariffs of 8% on Maine live lobsters and up to 20% on Maine lobster products, which is great news for Maine's lobstermen and women. I live in an island with 370 residents, and lobstering is how we provide for our
Wait,
families.
why are you shipping
Maine's
lobsters
lobstermen
to
are
the
true
EU? They
environmentalists.
have plenty
We
of
practice
lobsters.
conservation every day. If we didn't, we'd be putting ourselves out of business.
Something sounds
4
fishy.
years ago, the Obama-Biden
Or crab
administration
chili.
used the Antiquities Act to order thousands of square miles of ocean off limits to commercial fishermen. They did it to cater to environmental activists. Although Maine's lobstermen don't fish there, Obama's executive order offended us greatly. It
Don't forget,
circumvented the Fisheries
you can call
Council's
in.
input.
917-830-4359. We had a
restating the rules
fantastic
that allow
conversation last
stakeholder
night.
input. And he supports a process that seeks
So it turns out they actually went off the air early last night, and I wasn't aware of this.
But if Biden wins, he'll be
So Tim Scott finished up like 5 or 6 minutes early, and they just kind of hovered on a shot of the White House. Because I was taking a phone call, because I like to argue. And it was actually more interesting than Tim Scott, apparently. I got to see the fun part, and that was Kimberly Guilfoyle. I said it right that time. Oh, fuck. I've gotten it, like, I've fucked it up every time I try to say that name. She totally pegs Donald Trump Jr. That was my big takeaway from night 1 of the RNC. We'll see what happens tonight. I'm excited. I hope you are. Why is it going to be fun? Because right-wingers are morons. You can get the shirt down below.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Peterson.
Oh, I thought it was Hillary there for a second.
I milk 1,000 cows on a dairy farm in Grantsburg, Wisconsin, a small middle American town. Truth be told, until I married my cute farmer from Grantsburg a long time ago, I was a city slicker from Minneapolis, which is about 70 miles south of us. Donald Trump became president in the middle of the Great Depression for dairy farmers in Wisconsin. In 2016, prices were horrible, and longtime generational farms across the nation were going out of business. In 2017, our 120-year-old barn, which served as our milking center, caught fire and burned to the ground. Our cows were spared, but because they needed to be milked 3 times a day, farmers, friends, and complete strangers from all over northern Wisconsin helped haul them to other farms where they stayed until we could rebuild.
I would hate it if
By
I was
the
a
end of
cow and I had
2018,
strangers.
we had a new
grabbing on my
state-of-the-art robotic milking facility that
talking about. I like
allows our
strangers
cows to
grabbing on my
milk themselves 3 times a day. At about the same time, President Trump's economic boom began helping dairy farmers across the nation. As a businessman, President Trump understands that farming is a complicated, capital-intensive, and risky business.
I wonder if Hillary
More
or
than any
if Trump
president
like
in my
turned around the
lifetime,
corner and was like, "Oh my
he's
God, is that
acknowledged
Hillary?"
The importance of
That's what I
farmers
would have
and
done.
agriculture. That support and focus on negotiating new trade deals gave us the confidence to rebuild our barn and dairy operation. Business was booming again, and business boomed right until the COVID-19 shutdown in March. Many people probably don't realize that our country is one of the few in the world that produces nearly all of its own food. Fewer still understand how close our food production and distribution system came to collapsing this past spring. But President Trump understood and again took steps to provide the supports we needed. President Trump took the necessary action knowing that agriculture is our backbone and strength, critical to our national security. Our entire economy and dairy farming are once again roaring back. One person deserves the credit and our vote, President Donald J. Trump.
Ooh. All right, we're at the top of the hour now. This is where the networks pick it up.
Prior to President Trump, you had businesses that were overregulated, not a friendly environment at all to start a company.
My family stopped ranching about 7 years ago. The regulations became so overbearing that the ranch was slowly sold off.
I lost businesses because of this regulation.
The factories in our town closed.
It's not
the
regulation.
Businesses in our towns have shut. It got to the point finally that middle America needed help.
That's true.
President Trump came in and was able to shed light on an area that had been so long left behind. Tax Cuts and Jobs Act was huge, especially for a community like ours that has a lot of small businesses, manufacturing, deregulation, fair trade, real life policy changes that affected real Americans.
An amazing opportunity to get ahead, to have our businesses, to have our children educated, of school choice.
That is something that's huge for parents right now, especially Black moms whose kids are trapped in failing school districts.
Before COVID hit, Black unemployment rate was at the lowest ever.
I've seen the numbers of employees go up, and they're earning
Do they have
a
a
lot
theme
more for their
for
family
each
than what they
night?
had previously.
I can't remember what tonight's is, but they were
This
all like
administration has
Star
done
Wars names.
simplifying the government.
Like
It's
a
really
hope
cut
for
the handcuffs off of
tomorrow.
America again and allowed us to grow and move forward in a way that I
America's
have never seen in
greatest,
my
America's
lifetime.
heroes.
Cool regulation
Something
allow
like that.
small companies to go out there and be able to play in the game. That is the American dream.
People feel that they can support and have a family, and it can build and make us stronger as Americans.
What could be taken away if he doesn't win again?
Joe Biden said the first thing he's going to do is increase taxes on everyone.
Overregulated.
That is
making it
not
where
true
small
at all.
business can't grow. That's taking away the American dream.
I think with the upcoming election, people just need to think about what is better for them and their family.
The president's job is to be the CEO of our country.
That's
And
not what the president's
he's doing
job
his
is.
job.
He has improved jobs, he's improved health, he's improved wages, he's cut taxes.
None of those things are true. The taxes, but not
I
on,
could
on
go on for
us.
an hour and a half.
Not on us,
Everybody
motherfucker.
had a job, making money, spending money, boom, bada bang, boop, we good.
My kids are going to look up to me and say, you are the best mom for working, raising us. It's just
And voting
tremendous
for
what
Trump.
I could do, I guess.
This is somebody who loves his country. He's truly fighting for the American people.
Hello, folks. You know me from TV
Oh,
and
shit,
radio.
Larry
I'm
Kudlow.
Larry Kudlow. Years ago, I worked for Ronald Reagan. More recently, I helped the team craft Donald Trump's economic plan during the campaign. It was a roaring success. Inheriting a stagnant economy on the front end of recession, the program of tax cuts, historic rollback of onerous regulations that crippled small business, unleashing energy to become the world's #1 producer, and free, fair, and reciprocal trade deals to bolster manufacturing, agriculture, technology, and other sectors. The economy was rebuilt in 3 years. Unemployment fell to the lowest rate of 3.5%.
They keep touting that when they're sitting on top of a record unemployment.
Enormously.
It is
Everyone was
it's
better
such a
off.
disconnect.
A rising tide lifted all boats. Then came a once-in-100-year pandemic. It was awful. Health and economic impacts were tragic. Hardship and heartbreak.
He's talking
were
about it
everywhere.
like it's over.
But presidential leadership came swiftly and effectively with an extraordinary rescue for health and safety to successfully fight the COVID virus. The great
Successfully?
bipartisan rescue also saved the economy. Right now, our economic health
Holy
is coming
shit.
back. With emergency spending and tax cuts, Americans are going back to work. There's a housing boom, there's an auto boom, a manufacturing boom, a consumer spending boom. Stocks are in record territory. A V-shaped recovery
Stocks
is pointing to
are
better
in
than
record
20%
territory.
growth
But this
in
is
the
where we
second half
sit
of
as of yesterday.
Now, looking ahead,
5
more tax
million
cuts and
cases.
regulatory rollback will be in store.
Not even
Payroll
half of
tax
those are
cuts for
recovered.
higher wages, income tax cuts for the middle class,
176,000 deaths,
capital
and that was
gains tax
yesterday.
cuts
So
for
that means the number is
investment,
closer to
productivity, and jobs.
178,000
Much more
deaths.
regulatory relief for small businesses. In economic terms, folks, this is no time for a $4 trillion tax hike. Coming out of the deep pandemic,
We
who in their right
absolutely
mind would pick the
need
pockets
to
of
raise
taxpayers
taxes
and drain money
on
from their
rich
wallets
people,
and purses?
including
Look,
fucking crusty
our
ass
economic
Kudlow.
choice is very clear. Do you want economic health, prosperity, opportunity, and optimism?
Look at that
Or do you
man.
wanna turn
He is
back
not
to the
somebody you
dark
take
days of
advice on about
stagnation,
health.
recession, and pessimism? I believe there can't be better economic policies than we've had
Glug
in
glug
recent
Larry.
years. So I say, stay with them. Thank you.
What a ringing endorsement. So I say stay with him. Do not sell your
I'm
stock.
John Peterson.
What's up, John?
Owner of a second-generation metal fabrication business called Shooty Metals. We've been stamping our products and services made in the USA since 1957.
Metal, motherfucker.
My brother and I purchased the business from my uncles almost 38 years ago. What was a 12-person shop has now grown into a company employing 165 people today. Like most companies that are successful over the long run, we had to reinvent ourselves as the market changed. 6 years ago, we invested heavily in our business, just as a great recession appeared. Barack Obama and Joe Biden,
did you say 6 years ago?
Two career politicians who knew nothing about business, couldn't get the government out of our way, and it put our business in a tailspin.
Did he say Great
Sadly,
Recession
we were
6
forced to
years
make
ago?
decisions, which included
Because the
cutting
economy
staff.
was doing very
A
well
torturous
6 years
experience
ago.
when our employers are like family.
I mean, as
The
well
Obama-Biden
as it
era
can
banking regulations
under
left
our
us
current
no
system.
choice. It tied our lenders' hands, and it deprived us of the lifeblood of our business, capital. We scratched and we clawed for 2 years, and then everything changed. Donald Trump was elected president, and he knew what it was like to build a company and create jobs. One of the first things he did was to cut red tape and put an end to draconian-type banking regulations. He also cut taxes
Draconian
on small businesses,
banking
allowing us
regulations?
to be more competitive both domestically and internationally. In fact, we increased revenues by 25% for 2 years in a row. By getting rid of the job-killing NAFTA and negotiating the U.S.-Mexican-Canada trade agreement, President Trump ensured a more competitive playing field for American companies.
He didn't really do
Even
anything.
with all the challenges presented by the
the new agreements
coronavirus,
aren't
President Trump
all
is
that different from
rebuilding,
the old ones.
and our economy is roaring back again. But when I hear that Joe Biden is
They're
ready
saying
to
that
raise
at
taxes,
a very weird time.
crush us with regulations, and weaken our international trade position, I shudder. We simply cannot endure a Biden-induced recession. Some will struggle, some will not survive.
Okay, so this is very weird for them to really be pushing hard about economy. Clearly that's the message of this evening. But this is a very odd time. If you're pushing that message right now when millions of people are getting ready to get evicted. Have been evicted, will be evicted. So not a smart move on the Republicans' part. Let's see if it's a message that carries on through the night. I'm sure it will.
Trump. Thank you, and God bless America.
God bless America.
Good evening. I'm Sissy Graham Lynch, and I'm honored to speak to you tonight about something that is so important to all of us, our faith. As Americans, we know the first line of the First Amendment protects our freedom of religion. But what we often forget, the actual words are free exercise of religion. That means living out our faith in our daily lives, in our schools, in our jobs, and yes, even in the public square. Our founders did not envision a quiet, hidden faith. They fought to ensure that the voices of faith were always welcomed, not silenced.
You people never
not
shut the
bullied.
fuck up. I don't know what you're talking
During the
about.
Obama-Biden administration, these freedoms were under attack. Democrats tried to make faith organizations pay for abortion-inducing drugs.
That is
Democrats
not
tried
true
to
at
force
all.
adoption agencies to violate their deeply held beliefs. Democrats pressured
And
schools
send children
to
to
allow
loving
boys
homes.
to compete in girls'
You
sports
whore.
and use girls' locker
I
rooms.
shouldn't say that. I shouldn't
Those
say
are
whore
the
with
facts.
disdain. I like
But
whores.
then,
I don't
we,
like her.
the people,
I was saying
elected
the word
Donald
because
Trump.
she wouldn't like to be called
People
that.
of faith suddenly had a fierce advocate in the White House. He appointed judges who respect the First Amendment. He supported religious beliefs in court. He ensured religious ministries would not be forced to violate their beliefs. He withdrew the policies that placed our little girls at risk. And on the world stage, President Trump became the first president to talk about the importance of religious freedom at the United Nations, giving hope to people of faith around the world. She is not as charismatic as her grandfather, that is for sure. In America, we have not yet experienced physical persecution, even though the left has tried to silence us. Even during the pandemic, we saw how quickly life can change. Some Democratic leaders tried to ban church services, while marijuana shops and abortion clinics were declared essential. But you know what truly is essential? Our right to worship freely and live our faith in every aspect of life.
Well, let's be clear.
The Biden-Harris vision for America leaves...
The reason why you want to limit church services is because these fuckers go and they gather in big crowds and they hug and kiss and rub up all up on each other. And they spread it in their little pockets, and it spreads all throughout the community that way. Because otherwise, because one of the things you want to do is to stop different groups from interacting and cross-contaminating groups of people that wouldn't normally interact with each other. And church is that reason.
Tonight, I'm proudly standing in that public square, and I hope and pray you will join me in voting to re-elect President Trump.
Fuck you. I'm not saying vote for Biden.
I am Bob Vasilevich, mayor of Eveleth, a small town in the
But
Iron
you're
Range
stupid
of
if you vote for
Minnesota.
Trump.
My father and grandfather earned
Fuck
their livings
Biden.
mining the raw materials that made the steel that built America. This election is a make or break for workers who are carrying on the legacy of men like them. Since the Iron Range economy is vulnerable to economic trends
I
to
beg
foreign
you, if
trade,
you are a Trump
we
voter,
have always needed a strong voice in Washington.
if you were thinking about voting for Trump, Biden's going to win. Like, Trump is worried about Texas. Trump is worried about Georgia. That says that the polls are just overwhelming. Biden is going to win. So if you are planning on voting for Trump, your vote would mean more to a third party. Vote third party. This is the time to vote third party. Because I ain't telling anybody to vote for Biden. Fuck Biden. I will probably vote third party, but I'm in a safe state. There's no question who's going to win my state.
We lost thousands of jobs. We lost a generation of young people who had to
If you're planning on vote for Trump, don't. Now's the time to fuck the system. I understand why you voted for Trump. Totally get it. You wanted to fuck Washington up. So do it again. Do it again and vote third party. And I'm not telling you to vote for Biden. Fuck Biden. Fuck Biden. But you're stupid if you vote for Trump. That's all there is to it.
By cutting our taxes, rolling back senseless regulations, and delivering trade deals that put America's interests first. But the fight is not over. Joe Biden has allowed radicals like AOC to craft his environmental policies. Their so-called Green New Deal is a job-killing disgrace dreamt up by people who don't live in the real world. But Biden is too weak, too scared, and too sleepy to stand up to the radical left.
Old Sleepy Joe.
He has been doing nothing in Washington for 47 years. Why would year 48 be any different?
Oh no, he accomplished
President Trump
a
won't
lot.
back down to anybody. He delivered the best economy in our history, and he will do it again for all of us. The Iron Range's economic future and survival is at stake, and so is America's. We know we can count on President Trump to
It's a
fight
lot of
for us
fucking
and
balls.
win. Let's make sure he wins on November 3rd. God bless America.
It's a lot of fucking balls to get up there and talk about the economy.
My name is Abby Johnson.
What
and
up,
I
Abby?
spent 8 years working for Planned Parenthood, but today I'm a pro-life activist. When I was in college, Planned Parenthood approached me at a volunteer fair. They talked about helping women in crisis and their commitment to keep abortion safe, legal, and rare.
Yes.
I was convinced to volunteer and later offered a full-time job as a medical assistant before my promotion to director of the clinic. I truly believed I was helping women. But things drastically changed in 2009. In April, I was awarded Planned Parenthood's Employee of the Year Award and invited to their annual gala where they present the Margaret Sanger Award, named for their founder. And Margaret Sanger was a racist who believed in eugenics. Her goal when founding Planned Parenthood was to eradicate the minority population. Today, almost 80% of Planned Parenthood abortion facilities are strategically located in minority neighborhoods.
Low-income areas.
Every year, Planned Parenthood celebrates its race by presenting the Margaret
I think it's more because
Sanger
like
Award.
you fuckers really fuck with them.
Later in August, my supervisor assigned me a new
zone
quota
where
to
they
meet,
would like to.
an abortion quota. I was expected to sell double
them
the abortions
underfunded.
performed the previous year. When I pushed back, underscoring Planned Parenthood's public-facing goal of decreasing abortions, I was reprimanded and told, abortion is how we make our money. But the tipping point came a month later when a physician asked me to assist with an ultrasound-guided abortion. Nothing prepared me for what I saw on the screen. An unborn baby fighting back, desperate to move away from the suction. And I'll never forget what the doctor said next. Beam me up, Scotty. The last thing I saw was a spine twirling around in the mother's womb before succumbing to the force of the suction. On October 6th, I left the clinic, looking back only to remember why I now advocate so passionately for life. I founded and currently run And Then There Were None, a nonprofit organization that's helped nearly 600 abortion workers transition out of the industry. For most people who consider themselves pro-life, abortion is abstract. They can't even conceive of the barbarity. They don't know about the products of conception room and abortion clinics where infant corpses are pieced back together to ensure nothing remains in the mother's wombs. Or that we joked and called it the pieces of children room. You see, for me, abortion is real.
That sounds. That's not even funny.
Like.
Beam me up, Scotty was funny.
Like.
I totally believe you.
Did you know abortion even had a smell? I've been the perpetrator.
Period blood has a smell, so I'm assuming yes.
Women. And I now support President Trump because he has done more for the unborn than any other president.
I'm sorry, this is a little gross.
During his first month in office, he banned federal funds for global health groups that promote abortion. That same year, he overturned an Obama-Biden rule that allowed government subsidy of abortion. He appointed a record number of pro-life judges, including 2 Supreme Court justices. And importantly, he announced a new rule protecting the rights of healthcare workers objecting to abortion, many of whom I work with every day.
Her eyebrows are painted on like really, like they got a really sharp
of who we
angle up
are
here.
as Americans. And this election is a choice
They kinda
between
make her look
2
mad.
radical anti-life activists and the most pro-life president we have ever had.
Did
That's
you say
something
anti-life
that should compel
activist?
you to action.
That's a
Go door to
weird
door,
phrase.
make calls, talk to your neighbors and friends, and vote on November 3rd. Take action that reelects our president, and do it with our very most vulnerable Americans in mind, the ones who haven't been born yet.
There's a guy struggling for his life.
To join thousands.
A man got shot in the back 8 times. I thought it was 7 times. 8 times. And is paralyzed, fighting for his life. And you're going to tell me some kid that hasn't been born. Oh, this is great.
Social media, the news, and even celebrities launched a campaign of persecution that was completely false against a boy in a Make America Great
That's the
Again
whole
hat.
reason.
The MAGA hat carries a certain connotation that provokes a conditioned reaction.
I blame that kid. What a little crap.
Everyone that sees that smug
They whatever they sued for, it was like millions. And they were like, all right, we'll settle for $100 grand.
Tonight,
They just wanted they wanted a settlement so they could say they won in court. And that's what that was all about.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Nick Sandman, and I'm the teenager who was defamed by the media after an encounter with a group of protesters on the steps of the Lincoln Memorial.
You're not defamed by the media.
Before I begin, I'd like to thank
Social
President
media
Trump
judged
for the
you and judged you
opportunity
pretty
to share
harshly.
some of my story and why it matters so much to this November's election.
All right, let's
In
hear it.
2019, I attended the March for Life in Washington, D.C.
Already makes
where
you
I
dick.
demonstrated in defense of the unborn.
Yeah,
Later that
dick.
day, I bought a Make America Great Again hat because
Dick.
our president, Donald Trump,